Hello, my loves. Welcome to the Design With You podcast. Today is going to be a solo episode with me where we're going to talk all about the nervous system, energetics, and how it directly impacts the way you create business, wealth, and your impact in the world. So this is something we've been navigating a lot inside the certification, understanding your nervous system, understanding your mind, and understanding your intuitive life force, that this is what is driving you forward. And the biggest learning that I've had in business and in life is that your intuition is inherently strategic. Your intuition is tapped into the collective. Your intuition is tapped into the future. We need to remember this. Your intuition knows more than your logical mind. Your intuition is connected to your future self. I like to think of it how your future self is drawing you forward in the present through your intuition. And you see it where people, when they follow their gut instincts, when they follow their ideas, they're the ones that are the forefront pioneers. They are the ones that are the inventors. They are the ones who create before, it's the norm. And you almost want to be ahead of the curve, or you should be ahead of the curve, because that means you're listening to your ideas. You're listening to the innovation that's willing to move through you. Also, your intuition is connected and tapped in to your own personal frequency. It's tapping into what is relevant and resonant right now for my highest expansion, for the evolution of my work, for the evolution of my growth, for the evolution of my purpose here. And it's also tapped into your past self. It's tapped into what you have learned, what is needed. You are often serving in business a younger version of you, the version of you that moved through some form of transformation, the version of you who needed a problem to be solved, and you moved through and navigated that, because business at its core is problem solving. And so when we can see that your intuition is connected to the present, is the voice of the present, but is tapped into the past, is tapped into the future, and it's giving you the information now, we can start to see how inherently strategic that is. Don't discount that. So many people outsource their strategy, what they think they should do, and they forget the energetics of their resonance in their body right now. And your energy is the currency of the new paradigm. People are not making decisions logically. People are not making decisions based on how much output you do or what the value on paper looks like. No, they either connect to you or they don't. And the ones that are truly going to connect to you need to feel the truth of your frequency. They need to feel your authenticity. They need to feel what you care about. So don't be just doing things because you're told you need to do it. Don't feel like you have to talk about the pain points, or that you have to do reels like the viral way, or you always have to be present on social media, or you need someone else's strategy. No, because what happens is then you are distorting and distracting your natural life force. If you're not passionate about something, don't talk about it. Let people feel your heart. Let people feel, your embodiment in what you're teaching. So I always say, choose something that you feel in integrity with. Yes, there's going to be imposter syndrome. Yes, there can be times where you're not going to know everything. That's okay. People don't need you to, but they can feel your heart in it. They can feel your mission in it. And you have to trust that's more than enough. More than enough. And please don't let it be that once you get into business, all of a sudden you abandon your own intelligence. My intuition is tapped into the collective, as is yours. My intuition is tapped into where we're going, as is yours. My intuition is tapped into what will land and what is relevant in that exact moment, in that exact day, for my dream aligned clients. And so we got to trust divine timing with that. It comes in the moment, it comes in the present. And yes, you can absolutely plan and move ahead and have structure, but don't be so in your structure that you actually disconnect from your intuition and then you disconnect from your people. What we are missing in all of the structure and all of this is how you have to do it, speak to the pain points and do reels like this, is that you're missing the energetics behind it. You're missing what your subconscious is doing behind that. What is the energy behind that? Is that out of fear? Is that out of lack? You're also missing the nervous system patterns running in the background. And I really want to say this clearly. This is not about doing more. It's actually about doing less. It's about checking your energy before you move forward. It's about trusting your intuitive voice and trusting your ability to connect with the mission that has been put on your heart for a reason. So don't share or talk about something you're not excited about. Don't share anything just because you feel like you have to, or it's going to make you look smarter, or it's based on ego, because people will feel that. Also, if it's based on this is how other people do it, so I'll do it like that, it just doesn't land anymore. We sniff out inauthenticity. And the reason why live purposely mean that the algorithm doesn't pick it up, not to punish you, but how much even more clearer in your authenticity can you be? It's often when you try less that it works better. People feel when something's not pure life force transmission. And sometimes that means it's not going to be all day, every day, but your only goal is to connect to your life force, to connect to your higher frequency, connect to yourself, because then it all naturally flows on from that. You don't give yourself enough credit for how strategic and how naturally connected your intuition is. But a lot of the time, people don't let themselves freely express. There can be blocks in the throat that says, I don't feel safe to speak, or I don't feel safe to be seen, or I don't feel safe to say what I think. And this is where we bring in the nervous system, because the nervous system does not care about your desires. It does not care about how recognized you are. It doesn't care about how wealthy you are even. It only cares about your safety. It only cares about your familiarity. It only cares about what it is known, even if it is challenging, even if it is hell. They often say that you can choose the familiar hell over the unfamiliar heaven, over the unfamiliar aligned action, the unfamiliar intuitive action. People will often choose the familiar chaos or the familiar lack or the familiar scarcity or the familiar procrastination because that's what they've always known over the unfamiliar risk or the unfamiliar abundance. A lot of people are afraid to be wealthy because what would that mean about them? Maybe that could mean that people would bring them down. Maybe there's a fear of losing it, or maybe they've seen people lose it all. Maybe they have a belief that work has to be hard. And so if they have more responsibility, then they would have no freedom. Then they won't be there for their family. This came up for one of my clients where she had a belief that work and business had to be hard. And so what was her story? And then what was the reality that was created? Life was hard. Business was hard. She was burnt out. She was exhausted. And it was so interesting. I was totally able to reframe this story for her. I was able to give her expansion. I was able to give her a different way of seeing this. And I really challenged her on this story. And within 1 minute, I could see her whole energy changed around it. And then all of a sudden, we had a solution for the problem she was moving through. And why I mentioned this example is because it was almost like the solutions were shut off because she was in the story of it is hard. So the solutions weren't available because the solutions to that would make her life and her work a lot more easeful was not on the timeline of things have to be hard. I have to struggle. That is such a common story, that I have to struggle, and that anything good has to come from suffering and hard work. And so any form of solution, any form of ease is not relevant on that timeline, on that story. And within seconds of her shifting that story, she was then able to see the solution. My channel was open to help with that. It was almost like my channel wasn't able to penetrate her timeline before that. She was open. Her vessel was ready to expand into ease. Solutions came in for me to share with her and for her for herself. So you got to watch where you're blocking. And it's not enough. So is the idea of abundance, of wealth, of recognition, of being seen, of expansion, does that feel so unfamiliar to your nervous system that your nervous system is blocking? This client, she believed that if she let go, if she trusted, if she did less, that it would all fall away, that she would lose everything. So you need to get really honest with yourself of what is your story, because it's all well and good to say, follow your gut, do the thing, get out of your comfort zone. But if your nervous system is in fight or flight or freeze or fawn, and this unknown, this risk, if it's seen as unsafe, your body will not move. And it's not because you're broken. It is because it is a beautiful survival mechanism. But here's what happened next when that mechanism turns on, reacts, activates. You end up not moving forward. The mind ends up coming in. Doubt ends up coming in. And it will give you all the reasons why you shouldn't do something, why you're not enough, why it's not the right time. So what happens is that you end up believing the stories of an activated nervous system rather than seeing it for what it is. It's just activated because there is fear, because there is unfamiliarity. There is something new it hasn't come across. Remember, the nervous system is running through your whole body looking for risk. But when we get to understand, and when you get to understand your nervous system, you get to work with your nervous system, love with your nervous system, ground and calm and regulate your nervous system, have awareness when your mind steps in and tries to talk you out of it. You can start to see and, no longer believe them as truth. You can witness that. You can give love and regulate your nervous system that's just trying to keep you safe, especially when you have expansion symptoms where you're expanding, and that can feel very uncomfortable. That can bring up a lot of discomfort, a lot of shit. And so we got to regulate. But at the same time, you still need to move forward. I think this is where people miss it. People are either in one camp of just always be regulated, or other people are in another camp of just steer forward, go for it. It needs to be both. And you need to give love to the mind that is trying to prevent rejection, abandonment, loss. And the power is when you have awareness, when you see what is the gift of this trigger right now, when you see what is the gift that I'm being given to transcend, no longer will your mind stories lead. You will see a higher perspective, because perspective is everything. And you know that. I've spoken about this so much on the podcast. Your perspective creates your reality. So if you have the perspective that your mind, when you're not mastering your mind, and when you see and believe every single story that your mind says, and when you just let the deregulated nervous system be the reason why you do or don't do something, you need to witness, but you also need to choose again. And this is where certainty comes in. And I'm not talking about, certainty of controlling how things have to work out. And this is, I'm not going to move forward until I am certain on the plan. No, I'm talking about internal certainty. Certainty through perspective, that you know that all will work out for your highest good. And right now you're being challenged because you're being invited to expand, to grow, to become more free, because there is a mission on your heart that is wanting to be shared. And that might involve letting something go. That might involve, expanding on something or changing something or evolving in your business. And you have to let it. If something is no longer relevant, you need to trust where you're going, because again, your intuition is connected to the future, and who knows what it is guiding you forward. Your energetic coherence, your embodiment is the currency of the collective. So if you are inauthentic in any way, it's felt, and it's also going to be triggered and challenged, because the universe wants you to be aligned on your path, your unique intuitive path. So when I finally understood how the nervous system worked and how my mind worked, then my whole perspective changed, because I started to realize that anything was possible. But I also started to see, okay, it's okay if I feel afraid. It's okay if I feel nervous. Good. I'm on the precipice of my expansion. I get to ground myself. I get to remind myself how safe I actually am. That's important. It's not about bypassing that. But I also get to understand that this fear, this doubt is actually an illusion, because I am a divine being. You are a divine being. All is possible if you let it. People that are successful in the world because they back themselves and because they were almost a little bit naive. But naive is a reality. That's the thing. People have been told that naive is delusional. It's actually not. It's the most trusted and surrendered peace of mind that you can be in as a divine being, as a vessel of God. So because your energetic frequency is what draws in the wealth you want, it draws in the community that's meant for you and the business that wants to expand through you, you need to see how important your energy is then. So if you were operating from the nervous system fears, the dysregulation, from the doubt, from the fear, and not checking it, if you're just constantly procrastinating or deregulated, again, that shows up. But you get to choose to be in what is the energy that I want to create from. Because you can say all day long, I want clients, I want more impact. But if your nervous system can't hold it, you'll just push it away. That same client said that she didn't want to have any more responsibility. And I reminded her she wanted to get out of her current role, go into and create her own business. And she said, but I feel like a really big fear that I'm going to have too much responsibility and I don't know if I can take that on. And I reminded her, you don't have to take on anything you don't want to take on. You don't have to take on any responsibility you don't want to take on. Yes, you work in your integrity, but you're not here to save people. You're not here to be a martyr. You're not here to have no boundaries. That's actually your initiation to not be a people pleaser, to have strong boundaries, to be very clear of what your role is for other people, and to not self-sacrifice. But she didn't realize that story meant she was pushing away clients. I was also speaking with another woman who was saying that they were doing a lot of change in the back end. And she was saying how she'd had a really slow month in her business. And I asked her, how would it feel if you actually did have lots of people coming into your business as it is when you're doing all this background work? You know, she was changing all the systems in her company. And she said, oh, actually, I wouldn't have liked them coming in because it was all really disorganized. I wouldn't want the old onboarding to be there. And I said, exactly. You were subconsciously, beautifully saying, like, don't come into this space. Don't sign up right now. And so just with that perspective shift, she was starting to realize, oh, there's nothing actually wrong with the business. We just needed a period to come inward and to reassess and to realign our back end. And then, you know, within that day, she had 8 new people sign up. All the back end had been all sorted out. They had all the new system. And so imagine if she just knew that while she was going through that, rather than stressing about it, rather than getting worried, rather than being in fight or flight. And so we got to get really clear of like, yeah, is this, are we push pulling with the universe? Are we saying we want one thing, but then pushing it away because we feel that we don't have the capacity? Or are you already burnt out? Are you already burnt out? Are you already at your absolute capacity? So then how can you expect more clients to come in if you also don't want to be doing one-on-ones anymore? You're wanting to grow your teachings. You're wanting to expand your platform. You're wanting to make greater impact. Well, of course, the universe is going to dry up your one-on-ones because it wants you to start giving your attention there. You know, are you sharing on social media, but not really saying the thing you care about and then wondering why it's not that received? Are you expecting to change someone's life in one reel? And if you don't, then it's not worthy. No, you're not expected to change someone's life in 1 minute. Also, who cares if it goes viral or not? It literally means nothing. So just if you have this push-pull energy, notice if you are coming from the ego rather from the heart. It needs to come from your life force and your soul, because this is what connects people with you. And this is why, you know, people can be doing all the right things, you know, can look busy and posting every day, doing all the things, but you still feel disconnected from them because it's just surface level. It's not really the thing that actually matters to them. And this is why people can just be busy and productive to just, you know, tickle that they're doing something rather than the thing that actually matters. And even if that means taking a moment to go inward, slowing down in stillness and maybe not actively selling, but going really clear, like, okay, what do I actually want to create in this world? What is most relevant right now? It is so important to ask yourself, what is relevant now? What is relevant to me? What is relevant to my community? What is relevant to my own evolution of what I want to share in this lifetime? And when you can be so clear on that, it is felt. And when you can be grounded in that with your nervous system, yes, you're going to be stretched. Yes, you're going to be challenged, but you don't have to go down a spiral. You can catch yourself in a spiral and say, pause. I am no longer reacting. I get to respond as my higher self. In the pause, you have your superpower. This is where you become a conscious co-creator rather than a reactor, rather than in victim mode. So life is always inviting you into a higher expression. So if old strategies are stopping or working, or engagement shifts, or things dry up, it can feel like something is going wrong, but nothing is going wrong. Everything is frequency. Everything is energy. Everything is pushing you in your evolution. So the real question comes, where am I being invited right now? Where is my intuition calling me forward? Where can I be a little bit more authentic? Where can I be a little bit more in my energetic embodiment? Because people feel it. And so stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to do the right thing. Stop trying to saying the cookie cutter strategy that some business person says online. Like, none of that shit works. When you see that how you live, the energy behind your work, how you move life, that is more important than any forced way of being. Now, strategy is beautiful when it's aligned. Strategy is beautiful when it expands your own life force. But remember, your intuition is very strategic with that. We need to remember the frequency behind you creating. Is this a divine channel? Am I getting into the energy every morning of life force moving through me? And am I being a vessel with my nervous system that it feels safe to be an expression of God, an expression of the universe? Yes, we regulate. Yes, breath practices. Yes, go meditate. Yes, get in nature. Yes, co-regulate. At the same time, you need to take the small steps of where your intuition is guiding you. Even when you feel uncomfortable, even when it feels scary, it's the incremental steps that you do the thing and then you regulate. You record that podcast interview, regulate before it, get into the energy of the universe. I don't touch anything. Get into the energy of universal divine limitlessness. Rehearse it. Make that familiar that you are a divine being that has infinite potentiality and who is safe and can trust themselves and who has infinite creative energy. Move forward step by step in a way that your nervous system starts to see, wow, we're safe here. Wow, my intuition is connected to the future. Wow, things start to align. Wow, I can see that at one point it was really scary for my work to evolve. Your intuition can only be proven in hindsight. So you have to trust now that your intuition, and this is how we create trust, is through pattern recognition. So look back when your intuition was right and see that when you feel a pull or a curiosity or a quiet knowing that there is something else, you are sensing what is coming before your mind can rationalize it. Your intuition is strategic. It's always like connected to the future clients before they even realize. And people will be in your space for months and months and months until they connect with you. But this is the missing piece that people forget in business. It's your embodiment. Do people feel like they connect to the universe when they connect with you? Do they feel like they're speaking to the divine without realizing? It's not like they're looking at you thinking you're God. We obviously do not want that. We do not want that projection. But it's almost like they're speaking to a clear channel. And that's not by doing more, by the way, it's by doing less. It's by being in the embodiment of, of presence. So this is the thing. You don't have to be 100% healed. You can be in process. You can be learning. We all are. But are you in it? Like, are you in relationship with life or are you in relationship with your limited mind? Are you connecting with a person? Are you speaking about the thing you care about? Or are you stopping yourself because your mind tells you that it's not important or you're not ready or people are? Like, that's what disconnects you from life force. Or are you doing your morning practice, having your morning that gets you in the energy? And then do you let the ideas flow through you without the need for it to be perfection, without the need to re-record it 1,000 times, without the need to be understood by other people? You were doing the work that 99% of the population don't do. So don't expect 99% of the population to understand what only 1% of the population are willing to look at or even think about. At first, it can be really uncomfortable to put yourself in a position where rejection is possible, to feel misunderstood or to feel abandoned. But let me just tell you, it's not nearly as scary to me as not being fully expressed in this lifetime. Let's talk about visibility, because visibility seems to come up a lot with nervous system work, because this is where it becomes very real. You take it step by step. First, it can feel really uncomfortable being seen by friends and family, talking about the things you actually care about. Then you might move that and then you start talking about it with strangers. Then maybe on Instagram, then maybe on a podcast, then maybe on video on YouTube. And then life will test your vessel of how much you can receive. So maybe someone says some comment or there's a DM or someone says something. And each time that you are being invited to expand deeper, more embodied, ask yourself, can I hold this? Remember, you are a divine being in human form. You can hold anything. Life is just seeing how willing you are to step into your evolution and expansion, because then you can receive more. Problems are relative to the vessel. So people, that have really successful businesses and doing big things, they have a large capacity for problems. And they're able to move through them probably in a better way than someone with way smaller problems. And the whole problem of humans is that they think they have so much problems when really it's just perspective. When you see that every time you were challenged, you were just being invited into a higher timeline. When you see that every time you were triggered, you were being given an opportunity to evolve in some way and see the gift, because then you are free. If you were challenged around patience, around things not flowing how you would want, you're being asked, because in your higher expansion as your higher self, you do need to be more patient. Or you do need to be more brave. or you do need to care less what people think, because that's what your impact requires from you, but it will do it step by step to help support your nervous system. So when you see, cool, I'm receiving a challenge in this moment, I'm only being given it because the universe knows that I'm ready for it. I can't receive anything I'm not ready for. Literally impossible, because then you would just shrivel up and self explode. No, you can never be given anything that you can't handle. Think back on every single moment in your life. You have always moved 100% success through anything that was once challenging, because you were standing here today. You moved through it. Can you give yourself that grace moving forward? And knowing that when you call in big things, you're going to be challenged on the ways that you need to release or you need to become free from, so that you can receive on that more expanded way. And so you ask yourself, can I stay open? Can I stay true to myself? Can I hold this? Yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Know that your nervous system is expanding. Your capacity is expanding for what you're about to, come in. So if someone doesn't receive something in the way that you want, wow, can I hold this? Because if I do want to create more impact, I have to be okay with some people not getting it. It's all well and good to be like, yes, I want more impact, more clients, more money, more wealth, but you're not willing to make hard decisions, or you're not willing to be misunderstood. You're going to stay small there. So life will give you these opportunities to expand, and we need to ground our nervous system in each one. Remind it how safe you are. Remind it that you can hold this. As I said, nature, co-regulating, tapping, meditation, breath. To me, it has to be perspective. Perspective is what I believe is the most calm for the nervous system, because if your nervous system just says like, breathe, you're safe, to me, that has never, if your nervous system feels unsafe, I believe it needs a story or a reminder that it is safe. So for me, having the perspective that this is coming for my greatest good, nothing wrong is happening, is actually the most right thing, because I'm being asked for something even greater and bigger. And that nervousness is a good sign. Doubt is an amazing sign. Fear, oh, we're on the precipice. It totally changed my energy when my nervous system would deregulate it. And yes, absolutely, you do the grounded things. I'm not discounting that. That's important. You can pray. I am in constant conversation with the universe. I'm in constant conversation with God. I say, like, show up for me now, or what do you think? Or give me a sign, or how do I feel? Because safety is internally created. Safety is internally created. It's not about leaning on safety and certainty from the external, because then you will live a small life. A lot of people are so afraid of change when change is so inevitable. So how can you feel safer in the change? And that's going to be from showing yourself that you're safe in it, and then you can do it, and then you can handle it. Things will always change. People will always change, and we can't control, and you should not control the outcomes. You should not control and force everything to stay the same, because it's anti-evolutionary. It's taking you off your path. It's just going to create more frustration, more hardship, more burnout, more exhaustion. So life will always invite you. And when you can see that it is for your greatest good and have certainty in that, your nervous system will no longer feel like something is going wrong. And I truly, like, that is such a strong belief for me now. Do you know how powerful that is? That I have the belief that all is good. And when I'm challenged, that I get to be excited about it, that something amazing is on the other side. Do you know how powerful that mindset is? Do you know how liberating that is? Do you know how freeing that is? Especially when I used to control everything, and how much my body truly believes that now. And even if it's just the story, who cares? But I operate differently in the world, because my business is way more successful now. I take way more risks than I used to. I've called in so much more wealth and abundance and knowledge and wisdom and people. Like, the people I've attracted in my life is beyond my wildest dreams. My logical mind would never have conceived that. I used to always feel like a loner. I always felt like people didn't misunderstand me, but that's what the story I had. And so I just kept on creating that story. I always felt like people didn't get myself, and I was always had to protect myself. And, do you know how alone that is? So awareness is so powerful when you realize the stories that you have of thinking that work has to be hard, or you have to struggle, or you can't make money from what you love. That is the biggest illusion of all. That is the biggest lie. What you love is for a reason. Even if you don't have the big passion yet, it comes with the breadcrumbs of your curiosities. And so you need to give your body new evidence. Right now, it has evidence only in your conditioning, only in your knockoff, only in what other people have conditioned you of. This is a strategy of what it has to be. Create new evidence that you can trust yourself. Create new evidence that your intuition is connected to your future desire. Create new evidence in your lived experience of this perspective of certainty that all is created for your expansion. You start to collect proof that you can trust yourself and the universe. Ask yourself, even where has your intuition guided you correctly? And how can you just let go a little bit more? Because when your perspective changes, your energy changes, your behavior changes, then your nervous system relaxes. And eventually things stop triggering you. If you watch or listen to my last podcast with my sister, she mentioned about how things just don't annoy me anymore, or things don't trigger me anymore. Yes, of course, things come up, but I get excited about it because I can catch it in the moment, being like, cool, I'm being invited right now to be liberated from this. I can witness this rather than go down the spiral of it. And whenever I'm challenged, if you get challenged, all of a sudden there's all these bills at the moment. Cool. Like, how grateful that I can be that I am able to pay this. And grateful that this, I don't know, service that I'm paying for, how much it gets to up level my business, that then will mean I can connect to more people and get this mission out there. I always ask, does this align with my life force? Does this align with my vision? Yes, amazing. Spend abundantly. Does this help my growth? Does this help my vessel to expand? Amazing. The lie that you can't afford something, or the lie that you can't do something, that is going to keep you small. The lie that's if something feels uncomfortable, then it's not for you. No, move towards the discomfort, regulate, show your body that it's safe. Do it in baby steps. Let it be, the steps be so small, but let them be that they move you forward, because you're starting to create. Okay, this gets to be familiar. This gets to be familiar. That's all your nervous system cares about. Is it familiar? Start creating the familiarity. Please do not just sit in the familiarity of your conditioning, of what you've always known, of what people have told you had to be, of what you just assumed you had to be. It's so powerful when we have the awareness. And this is what I love with human design. It gives us so much awareness when we're in our not self. When are you in your not self? When are you triggered based on your undefined centers? This is what we navigate so much inside my spaces. Great. When I have awareness of something, I get to change it, because life is always inviting you forward. And so, just because we were speaking about business and wealth creation and building your community, when you do this quote unquote work on yourself, I don't even see it as work. I see it as liberation or devotion and fun. This becomes a reflection in, your energy is a direct reflection of how your business is going to go. Your business is a mirror of your energy. And so when you're operating in life from an authentic place, from life force place, from passion, from desire, from excitement, from courage, important courage, from authenticity. When you are just a pure channel of, I see something, I feel something, I want to say it, I do it, I create a podcast about it, I share about it, I write a thing about it, I want to do this thing, so I do that event and all of these things. When you just let life force move through you, and yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Yes, there's going to be ways that life is going to invite you to expand this vessel. I have another client who she did her first couple of workshops. They went really well. And she's like, fuck it, I'm going to do an online group program. Yes, it brought up some stuff for her, but she had done enough work on herself that she was like, cool, of course this comes up because I'm doing something new. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm not capable. It just means that I'm in new, unfamiliar territory, and I get to play in this, and I get to step into a bigger expression of myself. And so let's talk about money. Let's talk about wealth. Money is life force. Us as a society, us as a collective, we've decided that money is a tangible form for life force. It's the way that we give energy. It's the way that we give retribution. It's the way that we give gratitude. It's the way that we give value. It's a tangible way of an energy exchange. So if you as a business, or if you as gift, or as you as a reader or a practitioner or a coach or a light worker or an entrepreneur, when you give life force, you receive life force. You give and you receive life force. You do and you receive abundantly for it. Where are you blocking that energy exchange? Where do you feel like you're not worthy of it? Where do you feel like your gifts aren't worthy of it? Where is your nervous system doesn't feel safe to hold it? Because you can say you want wealth, but are you actually comfortable receiving that? Do you feel comfortable being visible? Do you feel comfortable having responsibility? Because you will have to have some form of responsibility. Do you feel comfortable having that level of power in the world? Because as I said, we've decided that money and wealth is the tangible way of life force. It can feel, if your vessel isn't ready to hold that, it can feel very overwhelming to have that much power. So it's almost like safer to stay small. It's safer to hide. It's safer to rely on other people. It's like, I won't earn it, but I'll rely on my partner. And that's all well and fine. But let that be a conscious decision rather than an unconscious, because you're working so damn hard in your business and you're not receiving the fruits of your labor because you're blocking it. Safety has to be internal, and you need to help your body feel comfortable and feel familiar and feel excited about expanding, excited about generating more wealth. We need more incredible, heart-centered people with money to spread and to circulate. I love that about being in business. So safety has to be internal, and you need to feel supported. It's an important part of a human to feel supported. I see the divine, I see the universe as my business partner. I see I have infinite quantum intelligence. I have infinite support. I have infinite, will tell me how it is. You know, it's not just going to hand things to me because then I won't grow in that. Its number one priority is that my business is at its most potent and powerful, which means I need to be in my most potent and powerful, because then I'll be of the highest contribution. So I got the best business partner there is. You got the best business partner there is. So lean on that support, lean on that intelligence, connect to that, ask for questions, speak to it, listen when you get the clarity, do the uncomfortable things. And when you stop forcing up against life, you stop micromanaging all the outcomes, and instead you act with devotion. You say, like, I know I feel afraid, but this feels true for me. I know I feel scared, but there is something here. I feel called to evolve in this way because I know that there are people that need this. And also, I get to receive abundantly from this. I can say my nervous system is in a totally different place from before my business, where I was living like I barely had anything in my bank account. You need to be in the energy of that, of trust, of life force, of God. Do you think God is constantly checking its bank account? Or do you think God is not looking at its bank account and avoiding everything, avoiding the tough conversations, avoiding the uncomfortable feelings? No, it's divine intelligence. It's looking at what is relevant and what is needed. It's always got its finger on the pulse, but not from a place of control, but from a place of flow. The universe is not constantly checking Instagram. How many likes did I get? Am I liked? Am I popular? Do people like me? That is the biggest waste of your energy. And that's going to mean that the universe will have to be like, we're going to not show people your video because you're so worried if people like you or not. It's a polluted transmission. It's not even a transition. It's a polluted performance. We need your divine transmission. You know, I get here and this is where, and find the avenues where it supports it. I really feel like the podcast, I can feel really free here. And I hope you feel the passion in what I share, because I want you all to feel free. I want you all to experience wealth and impact and your legacy and whatever you desire. If you don't desire it, that's fine. But if you desire it, you're meant to have it. Know that you are meant to have the wealth and the freedom and the impact and the recognition and the purpose that you are meant for. So yes, expansion can come with symptoms. There can be doubt, there can be fear, there can be imposter syndrome. Okay, that's okay. This is something we get to ground our nervous system through. This is something that we can notice when the mind and the nervous system are so interrelated. You can feel that like a fight or flight response. And then what your mind does will interpret it and create a story around it. It will say, okay, we're not safe and it's because you don't know enough and you're an imposter. No, your mind has just created a bias based on your biggest insecurity. You get to stop yourself in that track. You get to pause. I'm being given an opportunity to transcend this. How would my higher self respond like this? I would give love to myself. It's okay. I understand it's scary. We're going to move forward. Okay. Do you need support? Be in spaces where you feel supported. You know, I see people fly when they're in my spaces, in the certification, because you feel the backing. You know, have it with your friends. I mentioned this. I have manifested the most incredible women in my life recently in this past like 6 months. They have just shown up. And I can't help but be like, wow, I'm the energetic frequency, which would mean that they want to be friends with me. They wouldn't have wanted to be friends with me 5, 6 years ago. So all you do is that you allow and you continue to evolve. And when you are at that higher frequency of gratitude, which happens when you see the meaning and the perspective of everything, of all is working out exactly how it's meant to be. I am not available. I shared this on the podcast. I was really clear and I get really clear with myself. I am not available to discount. I am not available to spiral. I am not available to be negative to myself. I am not available to be angry at life and to blame life. I am not available to that. That is not who I am. And that's not who you are. Yes, it could show up, but I come back to my truth. I regulate, I move, I'll go for a walk, I'll move my body, I'll shift the energy up. I'll create new evidence. I literally stop and say, Hillary, look at all these ways that life is supporting you. Look at all these people that are here supporting you. Look at all the ways that you're doing good work and all of this stuff. Stack evidence. And you continue to trust and trust and trust until it is a knowing. So just see that if you have any expansion symptoms, it's just because more love, more wealth, more fulfillment is wanting to come in. And ask yourself, what is the gift here and what am I being invited for? Let that be your invitation. Are you invited to expand your vessel? Is it an energetic component? Do you need support with that? He's trying to show your body that this new unfamiliar, it gets to be safe. What is one small step that you can do today that proves that life is supporting you? Because then you're going to feel safe to receive. And that's the most important piece. When you feel safe to receive, your next level becomes inevitable. Things all start to align. When you start to operate from that high frequency place of like, oh, I see what's happening. Oh, all is working out. Oh, this challenge is preparing me for this. Oh, I actually see how I need to release this part of me that cares so much about this thing, or overthinks this certain thing, or overplans a certain thing, or doubts a certain thing. Like, I'm being invited to release this because that's the whole point. I'm being invited to show my nervous system that this is safe. But at the end of the day, it is all about self-trust. It's all about honoring that at the end of the day, you've got it. You've got yourself. So this is where what I want to like just leave you with. Understand your nervous system. Your nervous system only cares about what is familiar and what is safe. But we get to show and choose and almost train your nervous system that in the discomfort, in the fear, in the stretch, it is safe. And you do this step by step by step. I'm talking little baby steps like, oh, I just reached out to that person. Oh, I just enrolled in that course. Oh, I just invested in that mentor. Oh, I just spoke about my idea to my friends and family. Oh, I just posted that thing. Oh, I just started that new offering. We take it step by step because you never want to create something so big in your mind that it becomes so overwhelming that you're doing nothing. You never want to do that. Oh, that your perspective, your mind, how your mind interprets the nervous system, it's like the chicken or egg. The mind's thought can then create the nervous system response. Also, as well, the nervous system reaction then can create the mind's response. So, it's all happening at once. They're all very related. So what can happen is that the mind creates a response, or a reaction is probably a better word, to it of like, oh, it's because of X, Y, and Z. It's because people are going to humiliate me. It's because I'm going to lose everything. It's because I can't afford it. It's because I can't be seen. It's because I'm never going to make money from this. Lies, illusions, illusions. Yes, we never want to discount that. We never want to, shame it, but we want to witness it and say, okay, I feel dysregulated now. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to ground my feet, remind myself that I am safe, breathe. Yes. But we're also going to have the perspective of the mind that this is showing up for my expansion, for my evolution. And we witness and remind yourself, like, I am a divine life force being that is having a challenge right now. It's being tested right now because this is being asked to release. This is being asked to be healed. So we pause. When you can pause and ask yourself, what is the gift? You instantly go into the energy of gratitude. You instantly go in the energy of realization, which has been proven to create higher frequency results in your life. If you go straight into that energy rather than spiraling, rather than believing it, rather than going down the same unconscious loops, which has just created your past, you become a conscious co-creator in your future. You become your higher self in that moment. You jump into future higher timelines because you're actually seeing things really. You are actually quite literally dissolving problems. and you're seeing the reality. And sometimes you might do that 5 minutes in, or you might do it 5 hours in. It doesn't matter as long as you get there. You're going to shorten and shorten it until I can catch it in real time. When you do this, you realize how much more magnetic you get in life. It's like when people start showing up into your life without you having to micromanage or plan it. It always happens when you let go and when you are in embodiment. That's when people are like, oh, I just feel really attracted to that person. I don't know why. It's when we realize that people aren't purchasing or investing in people just because they show up most on social media or because, I don't know, they have the right tactics or strategies. No, it's because you have an energetic coherence that says this person feels safe to invest in because their nervous system is regulated to hold me. And this is what happened. Your nervous system is always expanding every challenge. When you are able to hold that, then you have a more expanded nervous system and people feel safer to invest with you. So it's something that can't be faked, but you are always in process with that. And so from that as well, I feel when you are a transition, when you were with your life course, and that's when you just share from the heart, share what you care about, create offerings that feel relevant, do it your way, even if it means that no one else has done it like that before. Good. Think outside the box, put these different modalities together. You don't understand how, you've never seen anyone do it like this before. Or you talk about this thing, the thing you learned or, you thought about on your morning walk. Good. We need more divine transmission, more authenticity. People are craving it. Trust yourself, back yourself. And we love to see it. We love to see it. And you're always so proud of yourself. And that's what you should look at it and be like, I feel like soulfully proud of this because this feels like an authentic contribution to the world. I feel myself in this. They say the Vedic perspective of love. And when you love something, it's like, oh, it's a bit of me. I just got a new Apple, big desktop. And I'm like, I love it so much. It's a bit of me. If I was a screen, I would be this Apple screen. If I was a top, I would be this top. If I was earrings, this is the type of earrings I would be. It's like you see yourself in the expression. It's not like you can really understand why, but it's like, it's a bit of me. That's what your work should feel like. And that's what's magnetic. But you got to trust that. You got to validate your incredible contribution here and how much you're needed here. That's why you got to trust your intuition. That's why you got to trust what feels good. Not discount it, not tell yourself that you can't make money from it, not go down the illusions of your mind or the fear of your nervous system. You get to choose different. You get to create expansively and know that your vessel is being asked in this moment to hold that. And it's a portfolio of your life. It's constantly evolving. And have fun. When you see the fun in that, rather than feel like I need to rush, I need to get somewhere. Release that. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a beautiful week. I have some exciting things happening in the background. I am so lit up in creation mode. I'm really wanting to support more business owners, more people that want to create their business all around the energetics, all around wealth creation, all around embodiment, all around this nervous system, but also this mindset, all the things that I've learned over the years and what's created this business I now love and adore. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for listening. So stay tuned, very excited. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of the week. Thank you so much for being here. If you feel called, I'd be so grateful if you can rate and review this podcast. It means the world. It means that we can grow even more. And just so grateful to have you here and to have this space to share so freely and to have such epic humans in this space. I feel like my 3740 never ceases to amaze me, that channel I have of community and epic humans, and you're one of them.